Over the weekend, President Vladimir Putin put Russia's nuclear forces on high alert. The UK has said it's an attempt to distract people from what's going wrong in Ukraine. But what does the possibility of a nuclear war mean for Nigeria, Africa, and the rest of the world? Well, let's bring in Nigeria's former Foreign Affairs Minister, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi. So glad to have you on Newsnight tonight. Let's begin very quickly with, Putin putting nuclear deterrent forces on high alert. What exactly does this mean for Nigeria, Africa, and of course the rest of the world?
Well, when a head of state threatens with nuclear weapons, it's either you think he's bluffing or you think he's deadly serious. In this case, I'm of the view that Putin is deadly serious. He doesn't bluff. Something is gone so fundamentally wrong in his reasoning that he now believes it is the threat or the actual use of nuclear weapons that can now rescue him. And this is going to be a disaster for the whole world. You don't even need to segment it into Nigeria, Africa, and the world. A philosopher, I believe it was Einstein, who once said, if there is a nuclear world war, the living will envy the dead. In other words, what the living will suffer, they will even wish they were dead. Now, honestly, I cannot, since I heard this yesterday, I really have been frightened. And it's not just me alone. I don't want to claim credit for what is not mine. I spent the whole day listening to analysts on all the channels, and all of them have said the same thing. Putin is deadly serious. Is there any way that he can then be moved away from the use of nuclear weapons? Nobody knows, and I don't know. We've never had this kind of situation before. I was a student in the United States in 1962, I believe, during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Neither Kennedy nor Khrushchev threatened the use of nuclear weapons. That's number one. Number two, they were talking behind the scene. Lines of communications were installed between Washington and Moscow, and these lines were being used away from the prying eyes of the media. But this one, number one, you've now had the threat of the use of nuclear weapons, and secondly, it's been said publicly. You see, when a head of state makes a threat, it is difficult for him to back down because it's going to mean loss of face.
Okay, Prof.
If he backs down.
Prof, let me ask you, because we do know that you have called for Nigeria to develop nuclear weapons dubbed the Black Bomb. How would that have fitted into this scenario, Professor? And do you think that your call made decades ago is even more relevant now than when you made it?
Yes, it is just as relevant today as when I made it. And why did I say so? When the Soviet Union broke up, Ukraine was the fourth largest nuclear weapons holder in the world after the United States, Russia, I believe Britain. It was Ukraine. It had interballistic missile, nuclear missiles on its soil. She was made to give up those missiles, those nuclear weapons, because the United States, Britain, France, and Russia guaranteed the territorial integrity and independence of Ukraine. She voluntarily gave up those nuclear weapons. Do you think that if Ukraine still had those nuclear weapons, that this will be happening to it? Russia would not have dared to invade Ukraine. And where are the guarantees given by the Soviet, given by Washington, London, and France? Where are the guarantees? Let this be a takeaway from this crisis. If you have something valuable that protects your territorial integrity and your sovereignty in international politics, don't give it up for any guarantee, because when the rain starts to fall, you won't find that umbrella. Nobody will show up with that umbrella. And so, what I proposed 30 years ago in terms of protection of Nigeria is still relevant today.
So, Prof, what do you think will happen to this whole idea of, discouraging countries like Iran, North Korea from, going nuclear, if I could put it that way? What do you think it means?
The war in Ukraine would just have confirmed what the lesson that Iran and North Korea drew from the assassination of Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. It was after Muammar Gaddafi was cajoled, threatened, blackmailed, whatever word you want to use, into giving up the nuclear program in Libya that the West engineered his overthrow and his assassination. So any of the countries, medium-income countries, who may be planning a nuclear program, the development of a nuclear program, will learn a lesson from this. And that's what I said earlier. If you have a valuable asset that will protect you, that will enhance your status in international affairs, don't give it up.
What do you make of Putin's argument that Gorbachev, former Russian leader, actually agreed to German reunification, Germany West and East, on the basis or the guarantee that the NATO or the West will not move an inch towards the East? And as far as he's concerned, they've actually reneged on their side of the deal. Is it a valid argument?
Yes, I think Putin is a valid argument by Putin. And it again reinforces my point. I don't trust nations who give you guarantees that even you yourself cannot sustain. You see, maybe this is the place to bring up this point. Democracy is not really a friend of foreign policy. Why do I say that? Reagan can only guarantee issues when he's occupying the White House. As soon as he leaves the White House, the next president will not guarantee it, cannot guarantee it. And if he wants to tear up the paper on which the guarantee is written, he'll tear it up. Trump did it with the nuclear deal. You know, the nuclear agreement with Iran. He tore up the paper. And this was something that Obama did. And the interesting thing is, since Biden got there, has he removed the sanctions, the extra sanctions, which Trump put on Iran? He has not removed them. So, you know, democracy changes governments, changes leaders, and an incoming leader is not bound by what the outgoing leader had done. It shouldn't be so, but that is what it is. That's what happened to the agreement between Gorbachev and Reagan.
Well, Professor Bolaji Akinyemi, thank you so much for your thoughts on the developing crisis of the invasion of Ukraine by Russia. We do appreciate your thoughts tonight on Newsnight. Thank you.